My roommate convinced the girl I was planning to propose to that I was secretly gay, just so he could date her himself. I found out 6 months after their wedding when she showed up at my door crying. I was 24 when I bought the ring. 3 months of saving every dollar from my engineering internship, skipping lunches, taking the bus instead of Uber, saying no to every bar night my friends invited me to. The ring sat in a velvet box hidden in my sock drawer for 2 weeks while I worked up the courage to actually do it. Mara had been my girlfriend for 3 years, since sophomore year of college. We met in an introductory physics class where she sat next to me and asked to borrow a pencil every single day for a month straight. On day 30, I finally asked if she owned any pencils. She laughed and said she just liked having an excuse to talk to me. That's when I knew. My roommate Owen had been my best friend since freshman orientation. We'd been randomly assigned as roommates and somehow it just worked. He was the outgoing one who dragged me to parties. I was the organized one who made sure we actually paid rent on time. We balanced each other out perfectly. Or so I thought. Owen knew about the ring. I'd even asked him to help me plan the proposal. We spent hours talking through different scenarios. Beach at sunset? Too cliched? Her favorite restaurant? Too public? Her family's cabin where we had our first real vacation together? Perfect. Owen agreed, and even offered to help me set everything up. Get her there under some pretense, make sure everything was ready. I trusted him completely. The plan was set for a Saturday in October. I'd driven up to the cabin the night before to decorate, to hide the ring in the spot where we'd carved our initials 3 years ago, to make sure everything was perfect. Owen was supposed to bring Mara up the next morning, telling her it was a surprise group weekend. Simple. Foolproof. Except Saturday morning, Owen called me at 6 a.m. His voice was weird, tight, and strained in a way I'd never heard before. Dude, I'm so sorry. Mara's not coming. Something came up with her family. Emergency thing. She feels terrible, but she can't make it. My stomach dropped, but I tried to stay calm. Family emergencies happened. Is everything okay? Is her mom all right? There was a pause. Too long. Yeah. Just some drama. You know how her family is. Maybe we should just rain check the whole weekend. I spent that Saturday alone at the cabin, the decorations mocking me from every corner. Rose petals on the bed, champagne chilling in ice that was slowly melting, candles everywhere waiting to be lit. I called Mara 3 times, but she didn't answer. She texted back around noon saying she was dealing with family stuff and would call me later. She didn't call. Not that day. Not the next. By Monday morning, I was worried enough to show up at her apartment, the one she shared with 2 other girls. Her roommate Lisa answered the door looking uncomfortable, shifting her weight from foot to foot and not quite meeting my eyes. Is Mara here? She wasn't answering her phone all weekend. Lisa bit her lip. She's not here. She's look, you should probably talk to her directly. The way she said it made my blood run cold. Lisa, what's going on? She sighed and opened the door wider. Come in. I'll make coffee. 20 minutes and 1 terrible cup of coffee later, Lisa told me that Mara had spent the weekend with Owen, not dealing with a family emergency, not sick or in trouble, with Owen, at his parents' beach house, alone. I don't think anything happened, Lisa said quickly, though her eyes told me she wasn't sure. But she came back Sunday night and she was different, quiet. She's been in her room since. I sat there on their couch, the ring box heavy in my jacket pocket, trying to process what I was hearing. My girlfriend had blown off our weekend, the weekend I'd planned to propose, to spend time alone with my best friend and roommate. Where is she now? Work. She left like 20 minutes ago. I drove to Mara's office building, a small marketing firm downtown where she'd just started as a junior associate. I waited in my car in the parking lot for almost an hour before I saw her walk out with her coworkers for lunch. She looked normal, happy even, laughing at something her colleague said, not like someone dealing with a family emergency or feeling guilty about anything. I got out of the car and called her name. She turned and when she saw me, her face did something complicated. Surprise, then guilt, then something I couldn't read. She said something to her coworkers and walked over to me, her arms crossed defensively. Hey, sorry I haven't called you back. Things have been crazy. What family emergency? I asked, keeping my voice level even though I wanted to shout. She blinked. What? Owen said you had a family emergency. That's why you couldn't come to the cabin this weekend. Her face went pale. Oh, right. Yeah. My mom it was nothing serious. Just some stuff with my dad. You know how they are. She was lying. I could tell. After 3 years together, I knew all her tells. The way she touched her ear when she wasn't telling the truth. How her voice got slightly higher. The way she wouldn't quite meet my eyes. Why were you at the beach house with Owen? Her eyes widened. How did you know about that? So you were there. With him? Alone. I felt something crack inside my chest. She stepped closer, reaching for my arm. It's not what you think. We were just talking. He was helping me with something. Helping you with what? I can't. Look, can we talk about this later? I'm at work, and this isn't the time. But there was never going to be a good time, was there? Are you cheating on me with Owen? The words hung in the air between us like smoke. Her coworkers were watching from across the parking lot, pretending not to, but definitely listening. No, she said firmly. No, I'm not cheating on you. Owen is your best friend. He would never. I would never. But something in her voice wasn't convincing. Some hesitation that made me doubt every word. I pulled the ring box out of my pocket and showed it to her. Didn't open it. Just held it up so she could see. I was going to propose to you this weekend. At the cabin. That's why Owen was supposed to bring you there. That was the plan. Her hand flew to her mouth, her eyes filling with tears. Oh my God. Marcus, I didn't know. He never said. Why were you with him, Mara? Really? She looked down at the pavement, tears starting to fall. I can't explain right now. Please, can we just talk tonight? Come to the apartment around 7. I promise I'll tell you everything. I didn't want to wait until 7. I wanted answers now, but her co-workers were definitely watching, and she looked like she might fall apart completely if I pushed harder. Fine. 7 o'clock. Don't make me wait again. I drove home in a daze, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. When I got back to our apartment, Owen was there on the couch playing video games like it was any normal Monday. He looked up when I walked in, and his expression shifted when he saw my face. Hey man, you okay? I walked straight to my room without answering and slammed the door. I could hear him pause the game and walk to my door, knocking softly. Marcus? What's going on? I yanked the door open. You want to tell me why Mara spent the weekend with you instead of coming to the cabin? His face did the same complicated thing Mara's had. Surprise, guilt, something else. She told you about that? Her roommate told me. Neither of you bothered to mention it. Owen ran his hand through his hair, a nervous habit I'd seen 1,000 times. Look, it's not what you think. She needed someone to talk to, and you were already at the cabin, and I was trying to help. Help with what? What could she possibly need to talk about that was more important than the weekend we'd planned? He opened his mouth, then closed it, then opened it again. I can't. She should be the one to tell you. Everyone keeps saying that. Tell me what, Owen? What the fuck is going on? He looked genuinely torn, his eyes darting away from mine. I promised her I wouldn't say anything. But dude, I swear to you, nothing happened between us. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? He shook his head. I can't. I'm sorry. Talk to Mara tonight. She'll explain everything. I grabbed my keys and left before I said something I'd regret. Spent the rest of the day driving aimlessly around the city, the ring box still in my pocket, my mind spinning with possibilities, each one worse than the last. By the time I pulled up to Mara's apartment at 7, I'd convinced myself of every possible scenario. They were having an affair. She'd realized she didn't love me anymore. Owen had feelings for her and confessed. She had feelings for Owen and was trying to figure out how to break up with me. The possibilities were endless and all terrible. Lisa answered the door again, but this time she just pointed to Mara's bedroom without saying anything. The door was cracked open. I could see Mara sitting on her bed, her face blotchy from crying. Hey, I said from the doorway, not sure if I should come in. She looked up and gestured for me to sit. I sat in her desk chair, keeping distance between us. The room smelled like her perfume and vanilla candles, familiar and comforting in a way that made this whole situation even worse. I'm so sorry, she started, her voice thick. For the weekend, for lying, for everything. Just tell me the truth. What's going on? She took a shaky breath. Owen told me you were planning to propose. I froze. What? At the cabin. He said that was the whole reason for the trip, that you had this big proposal planned and he was supposed to get me there. My head was spinning. When did he tell you this? Thursday night, 2 days before we were supposed to go. He came to my office and asked to talk, said he needed to tell me something important about you. The pieces were slowly clicking together, but they weren't making the picture I expected. And what did he say? She looked down at her hands, twisting her fingers together. He said you'd asked him to help with the proposal, that everything was planned, but he said he couldn't let you go through with it without me knowing something first. Knowing what? This was when she started really crying. He said you'd confessed to him that you were struggling with your sexuality, that you think you might be gay, that you loved me but weren't attracted to me anymore, and you were proposing anyway because you were scared to admit the truth. The words hit me like a physical punch. I actually felt winded, like I couldn't breathe. He said what? He showed me texts. Messages he said were from you talking about being confused about your orientation, about how you'd been looking at guys more, about how you didn't know how to tell me. Mara, I never. Those texts weren't real. I'm not. I've never questioned. But she was shaking her head. He showed me. They were from your number. They had your profile picture. He faked them somehow. Mara, I don't know how, but those weren't real texts. I'm not gay. I've never told Owen anything like that because it's not true. She looked at me, her eyes searching my face. But why would he lie about something like that? That was the question, wasn't it? Why would my best friend fabricate elaborate lies about my sexuality? Did anything happen between you two at the beach house? She shook her head quickly. No, he tried to kiss me. Once. But I stopped him. I told him I needed time to process everything he'd told me about you. That even if we weren't going to work out, I couldn't just jump into something with him. Something cold settled in my stomach. He tried to kiss you. I didn't let him. I swear. I told him I needed space to think. That's why I came home early on Sunday. I couldn't be around him after that. I stood up and started pacing her small room. Let me get this straight. Owen told you I was gay and showed you fake texts to prove it, then invited you to spend the weekend with him, then tried to kiss you. And you believed him? She looked hurt. He's your best friend. Why would he lie about something so serious? And the texts looked real. They had details about our relationship that only you would know. Because he told him to me. Because I trusted him with everything about us. I stopped pacing and looked at her. Did you seriously think I was going to propose to you while secretly being gay? I didn't know what to think. People do complicated things when they're scared. I thought maybe you were trying to convince yourself you weren't gay by marrying me. I didn't want to trap you in a life you didn't want. She was crying again. So instead, you almost let my best friend trap you instead. The words came out harsher than I meant them to, but I was too angry to care. That's not fair. None of this is fair, Mara. I saved for months for this ring. I planned the perfect proposal. I trusted my best friend to help me, and he sabotaged everything by telling you I was gay. I pulled out the ring box and set it on her desk. I was going to ask you to marry me. I was going to tell you that you were the only person I wanted to spend my life with, that I'd loved you since the day you asked me for a pencil 3 years ago, that I couldn't imagine my future without you in it. She reached for the box, but I pulled it back. Don't. Marcus, please. We can fix this. Owen lied, but that doesn't change how we feel about each other, doesn't it? You believed him. You went to his parents' beach house instead of coming to me. You let him kiss you, or almost kiss you. You didn't even give me a chance to defend myself. I was confused. I didn't know what to do. I stood up and pocketed the ring. I need to go. Wait, don't leave like this. Can we please just talk? But I was done talking. I left her apartment and drove home in a numb haze. When I got there, Owen was packing a bag. He looked up when I walked in. She told you. It wasn't a question. Yeah, she told me. Everything. I walked past him to my room and started grabbing his stuff from around the apartment. His textbooks from the coffee table. His jackets from the coat rack. His dishes from the sink. What are you doing? He followed me around like a nervous puppy. Getting your shit together so you can get out. Come on, man. Let me explain. I threw his economics textbook at his bag. Explain what? How you lied to my girlfriend about me being gay? How you showed her fake texts from my number? How you tried to kiss her after sabotaging my proposal? He had the decency to look ashamed. I didn't plan for it to happen like that. It got out of hand. You either planned it or it got out of hand. It can't be both. I found his Xbox controllers and tossed them into his bag. I was trying to protect you. The words were so absurd I actually laughed. Protect me? From what? From making a mistake. You're 24 years old, Marcus. You can't just propose to the first girl you dated in college. You haven't experienced anything. You don't know if she's really the one. So you decided to tell her I was gay? That was your solution? He ran his hands through his hair, frustrated. I was going to tell her the truth after the weekend. I was going to explain that I made it up because I thought you were rushing into things. But then she wouldn't even let me kiss her. She kept talking about you, about how much she loved you, about how she wanted to figure this out with you. And I got mad. The confession hung in the air. You got mad that she loved me more than she wanted you. I've been in love with her for 2 years. The words came out quiet but firm. Since that night, we all went to the beach for spring break and she fell asleep with her head on my shoulder. I tried to get over it. I tried to just be happy for you guys. But when you told me about the ring, I couldn't watch you marry her. I stared at my best friend, this person I'd trusted with everything, and felt something fundamental break between us. So you lied. You manipulated. You tried to destroy my relationship because you wanted her for yourself. I know it's fucked up. I know, but I really do love her. And I think she could love me too if you weren't in the picture. Get out. Marcus, come on. Get out. I grabbed his bag and threw it at him. I want you gone by tomorrow. I'll stay somewhere else tonight, but when I come back, you better not be here. I left before he could respond. Drove to my parents' house an hour away and crashed in my childhood bedroom. Didn't explain anything to them. Just said I needed a place to stay for the night. My mom knew better than to push when I got like this. The next morning, I went back to the apartment. Owen's stuff was gone. He'd left his key on the counter with a note that just said, "I'm sorry." I crumpled it up and threw it away. Mara called me 17 times over the next 3 days. I didn't answer. She texted paragraphs about wanting to fix things, about believing me over Owen, about loving me and wanting to make this work. I read them all but didn't respond. On the 4th day, she showed up at my apartment. I'd just gotten home from work, and there she was, sitting on the steps outside my building. "I've been waiting for 2 hours," she said when she saw me. "I figured you couldn't avoid me if I was literally blocking your door." I almost smiled despite everything. That was very Mara, stubborn to the point of absurdity. "I'm not avoiding you. You've ignored 23 calls and 47 texts. That's definitely avoiding." She stood up and blocked the door. "We need to talk. I don't know what else there is to say. There's a lot to say. Like how I'm an idiot for believing Owen. Like how I should have come to you immediately instead of running away to think. Like how I'm sorry. Like how I love you and I don't want to lose you over his lies." She was crying again but trying to hold it together. "Can we please just go inside and talk?" I unlocked the door and let her in. She looked around at the apartment, noticing all the empty spaces where Owen's stuff used to be. "He's gone?" "Yeah." I kicked him out. We sat on the couch, maintaining careful distance. She tucked her feet under her the way she always did, a habit that was so familiar it hurt. "I'm so sorry," she started. "I should have known better. I should have trusted you. But he was so convincing, and those texts looked so real, and I panicked. What convinced you that they were real? What details did he include that made you believe him?" She looked embarrassed. "He mentioned that time we had sex and you couldn't finish. Said you'd confessed to him that you'd been thinking about a guy you saw at the gym. That's why you couldn't stay focused on me. The violation of that hit me harder than I expected. I had confided in Owen about that night. It had been awkward, and I'd felt terrible about it, but it had nothing to do with being gay. I'd just been stressed about a project deadline at work and couldn't get my brain to shut off. I was stressed about work," I said quietly. That night I couldn't finish. It had nothing to do with attraction or sexuality. I told Owen that. He knew that. And he twisted it into some evidence that I was gay. She covered her face with her hands. I'm such an idiot. You're not an idiot. He manipulated both of us. He used information I trusted him with to make you doubt me. That's not your fault. She looked up at me. So, where does this leave us? I pulled the ring box out of my pocket. I'd been carrying it around for days, unable to leave it anywhere. I was going to ask you to marry me. The entire weekend was planned around it, and my best friend destroyed it because he wanted you for himself. Can we start over? Pretend the cabin weekend never happened and just try again? I opened the ring box and looked at the diamond I'd spent months saving for. I don't know if I can propose to you now. Not after everything. It would always be tainted by what he did. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I understand, but I don't want to lose you either. I closed the box and set it on the coffee table between us. Can we just take some time? Figure out how to move forward from this? She scooted closer to me on the couch. I'll take whatever time you need, as long as we're figuring it out together. I pulled her into a hug and she wrapped her arms around me tightly. We sat like that for a long time, just holding each other and trying to put back together what Owen had broken. That was 6 months ago. Mara and I stayed together. It wasn't easy at first. There was a lot of rebuilt trust and difficult conversations. But slowly, we found our way back to each other. I never did propose with that ring. I returned it to the jeweler a month later and got most of my money back. The proposal felt too connected to Owen's betrayal to salvage. Owen tried to reach out a few times over those months. Apologetic texts and voicemails that I deleted without listening to. I wasn't ready to forgive him. Maybe I never would be. Then last week I got a wedding invitation in the mail. Thick cardstock, fancy calligraphy. My name and address written in Mara's distinctive handwriting. Owen Hayes and Mara Chen request the honor of your presence at their wedding. I stared at it for 10 minutes straight, my brain refusing to process what I was reading. They were getting married. My ex-girlfriend and my ex-best friend. 6 months after everything had imploded. The wedding was in 2 weeks. I called Mara's number without thinking. A number I still had memorized despite not using it in months. She answered on the third ring. Hello? What the fuck is this? My voice came out sharper than I intended. There was a long pause. Marcus, you're marrying him? After everything he did? Another pause. It's not what you think. Then explain it to me because from where I'm standing, it looks exactly like what I think. He lied to you about me being gay. He manipulated both of us. He tried to sabotage our relationship so he could have you. And now you're marrying him? She sighed. Can we meet? I can't do this over the phone. I don't think that's a good idea. Please. I owe you an explanation. Just coffee. 1 hour. That's all I'm asking. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a cafe downtown. Neutral territory. When I got there, she was already at a table in the back, nervously shredding a napkin. She looked different, thinner, older somehow. Her hair was shorter and she wasn't wearing the necklace I'd given her for our second anniversary. Hey, she said quietly when I sat down. Hey. We ordered coffee in awkward silence. I let her go first. She took a deep breath. After we broke up, Owen reached out to me, to apologize. How noble of him. She ignored my sarcasm. He explained everything. Why he did what he did. He told me he'd been in love with me for years and couldn't handle watching you propose, that he knew it was wrong but he couldn't help himself. And you forgave him? Just like that? Not just like that. It took time, but we started talking. As friends at first. He was really broken up about losing you, about destroying our relationship. Forgive me if I don't feel sympathy for the guy who lied to my girlfriend about my sexuality. She flinched. I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But he's changed. He's been in therapy. He's working on his issues. His issues? Mara, he fabricated texts from my phone. He created an elaborate lie to break us up. Those aren't issues you work through in 6 months of therapy. It's been more complicated than that. After we broke up, I was lost. I didn't know who to trust anymore. Owen was there. He listened. He supported me. And somewhere along the way, feelings developed. I laughed, bitter and sharp. Feelings developed. How convenient. I didn't plan for this to happen. Neither of us did. But it did happen. And now you're marrying him. She reached across the table like she wanted to take my hand, but I pulled back. I need you to understand something. What I felt for you was real. I loved you. I probably still do in some way. But Owen and I, we understand each other in a way that's hard to explain. Because you're both liars? Because you both betrayed me? That's not fair. None of this is fair, Mara. I stood up, done with this conversation. I hope you're happy together. I really do. But don't expect me to show up at your wedding and smile. I walked out without looking back. Spent the next week trying to process this new information. My girlfriend and my best friend were getting married. The two people I'd trusted most in the world had chosen each other over me. The wedding came and went. I spent that Saturday at the gym, working out until my muscles screamed, trying to exhaust myself enough that I wouldn't think about what was happening. About Mara in a white dress. About Owen at the altar. About the life they were building on the ruins of what we'd all had together. That night, around 11 p.m., someone knocked on my door. Aggressive, urgent pounding that startled me off the couch. I looked through the peephole and my stomach dropped. Mara stood there in her wedding dress, mascara running down her face, hair falling out of whatever updo it had been in. I opened the door. What are you doing here? She pushed past me into my apartment. I made a mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. Mara, you just got married. Like hours ago. What are you talking about? She turned to face me, tears streaming freely now. I called it off. At the altar. In front of everyone. I stared at her, trying to process what she was saying. You left Owen at the altar? I was standing there and the officiant was talking about love and commitment and I kept thinking about you. About the cabin. About the proposal that never happened. About how Owen literally destroyed the best relationship I've ever had because he wanted me for himself. So why did you agree to marry him in the first place? Because I was confused and hurt and he was there and I thought maybe what we had was real. Maybe we could build something good out of something so broken. She sank down onto my couch. But the closer we got to the wedding, the more wrong it felt. And today, when I was supposed to say I do, I couldn't. I sat down in the chair across from her, maintaining distance. What do you want from me, Mara? I don't know. I needed to see you, to tell you that I'm sorry. For everything. For believing Owen's lies. For choosing him after he destroyed us. For being so stupid and confused and wrong about everything. You can't just show up here in your wedding dress and expect me to what? Take you back? Forgive everything? I'm not expecting anything. I just needed you to know that it was always you. It's always been you. I was just too scared and stupid to see it clearly. She stood up and walked to the door. I'm sorry for showing up like this. I shouldn't have come. But as she reached for the doorknob, something in me broke. Or maybe it fixed itself. I don't know. Wait. She turned around, hope flickering in her eyes. What you did, marrying Owen, almost marrying him, that hurt me more than anything he did. I know. I spent 6 months trying to get over you, trying to move on, and you spent that time with him. I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I walked closer to her, studying her face, the same face I'd loved for 3 years, the same eyes I used to get lost in, the same mouth I'd kissed countless times. I'm not going to lie and say this is okay, that we can just pick up where we left off. I don't expect you to, but I also can't pretend I stopped loving you, because I didn't. Even after everything, I never stopped. Her breath caught. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe we can start over. For real this time. No Owen. No lies. No fake texts or sabotaged proposals. Just us figuring out if we can be us again. She launched herself at me, wrapping her arms around my neck. Yes. Yes. I want that. I want us. I held her carefully, like she might disappear if I held too tight. This isn't going to be easy. We have a lot to work through. I know. But I'll do whatever it takes. I'll go to therapy. I'll be patient. I'll prove to you that I choose you. That I'll always choose you. We stood there in my living room, her in her wedding dress and me in sweatpants, and it felt like maybe, possibly, we could find our way back to each other. The road would be long and complicated. There would be setbacks and difficult conversations. But for the first time in 6 months, I felt something like hope. That was 6 months ago. Again. Funny how my life seems to move in 6-month increments now. Mara and I took it slow. Really slow. We started with coffee dates. Then dinners. Then gradually rebuilt the trust that Owen had destroyed. We went to couples therapy every week. Talked through the betrayal, the pain, the choices we'd both made. It wasn't always easy. Some days I'd look at her and remember that she'd almost married my ex-best friend. That she'd believed his lies about me. That she'd chosen him even temporarily. But other days, I'd remember why I fell in love with her in the first place. The way she laughed at terrible jokes. How she brought me coffee without being asked when I was stressed. The way she fit perfectly against me when we fell asleep. 3 months ago, I bought another ring. Different jeweler. Different design. No elaborate proposal plans. No involvement from anyone else. Just me and Mara, and a quiet moment on her balcony at sunset. I'm not asking you to marry me yet, I said, showing her the ring. But I'm asking if someday, when we're both ready, you'd want to. She cried and said yes. The ring sits in my drawer now, waiting for the right moment. A moment that's ours alone, untainted by anyone else's interference. I haven't spoken to Owen since the day Mara left him at the altar. I heard through mutual friends that he moved to another city. Started over somewhere fresh where people didn't know him as the guy who got left at his own wedding. Part of me feels bad for him. But mostly, I don't think about him at all. Mara and I talk about him sometimes in therapy. About the damage he did and how we rebuild around it. About forgiveness and moving forward. I don't know if I'll ever truly forgive him for what he did, but I'm learning to move past it. To focus on what I have now instead of what he tried to take from me. Last week, Mara and I went back to the cabin. The place where I was supposed to propose 3 years ago. We didn't talk about that weekend. Didn't reference the proposal that never happened. We just spent 2 days together hiking and talking and remembering why we work. On our last night there, she carved something into the tree where we'd carved our initials years ago. 3rd time's the charm, with a small heart. I laughed and added my own message below it. Always was. Just took the scenic route. Life is good now. Not perfect. We're still rebuilding. Still healing. Still figuring out how to trust each other completely after everything that happened. But we're doing it together. And that's enough. My phone is ringing. It's Mara. She wants to know if I want to try this new restaurant downtown. Some Thai place that just opened. I tell her yes. I always tell her yes now. Because after almost losing her twice, I'm not wasting any more time. Life's too short. And the girl I love is waiting. And that's the wrap-up for today. I always try to tuck something useful inside these stories, even if it's small. Hopefully, one line or moment stuck with you. Subscribe so you're ready for the next one.